So today's video is all about one of the 6 best doctors for you. And today it's about Dr. Food. Food. Every bite that you take, every swallow that you make is a message to your body. If you think about it, your cells are always eavesdropping on your meals. Every mouthful whispers, build energy, this is good, or prepare for battle, this is not such good energetic food. Or sometimes, what was that? Dr. Food is the most approachable, probably, of the 6 doctors that are on your side all the time. They are always on duty, always ready to help you, and usually found somewhere between your fridge or your pantry or cupboard and your fork or your fingers. So let me tell you a little story briefly about something that happened in my osteopathic clinic a few years ago. I treated a man in his late 60s who was constantly tired. He tried various supplements, some better than others. He always needed extra sleep, even had fancy health drinks, and spent like a reasonable amount of money on trying to feel better. But simply nothing worked, or at least nothing worked for a sustained period of time. So I thought, right, well, let's go a bit deeper. Let's dig into what's really going on. As an osteopath, part of my job is to look at your whole life and what's happening. So I thought I'd look at his diet in a bit more detail. And I noticed a pattern. There was tea and toast for breakfast. Okay. Sandwiches for lunch. Not unreasonable. And supposedly a proper dinner at night. And what proper meant to him was meat, preferably red, potatoes, 3 or 4, and maybe some sauce or something like that. There wasn't a stitch of green anywhere in sight. Apparently, he didn't like them. But when I asked him what he ate that was fresh, colourful, perhaps juicy, or maybe even a little bit bitter, he blinked and went, yeah, that'll be my Christmas dinner. Really? Really? We had work to do. Dr. Food needed to come to his aid quickly. 3 weeks later, having introduced, with a bit of whinging, I might add, a whole rainbow of coloured vegetables and fruit, some seeds, some nuts, a bit of olive oil into his diet, he slowly started getting his energy to come back. A little bit more time and his whole skin started to glow a bit more. He actually looked like he was alive rather than a bit ghostly. And thankfully, his sense of humour had returned. He even joked that his wife, who obviously we had to get on side because he didn't do cooking, that's wife's job, but she had been badgering him for years to try and eat a better diet with absolutely no results. So we had to get her on side to also start cooking more things that would be beneficial for him and for her. So that now she was having to chase him to sit down initially, and now he was eager to come and eat food. So we had taken his diet from a brown diet, a lot of wheat, and a lot of potatoes, a lot of starchy stuff, which filled him up, gave him some sugars, also probably gave him rather a lot of pesticides and fertilizers because of the type of food and where they were getting it from. But he suddenly started regenerating. His cells were starting to get the nutrition in that he so desperately needed. So Dr. Food had been visiting and clearly was making his presence felt. It was fabulous. But here's what matters. You are what you eat repeatedly. Like 3-4 times a day is going to make a difference to how you feel that day, the next day maybe. If you've had perhaps a lot of meat, you will be digesting that for 3, maybe 4 days. So every bite becomes a part of who you are. Your blood, your bones, your skin, your brain, your mood, your energy. Nutrients are the building blocks for healing and feeling well and full of vitality. Colourful, whole foods provide the antioxidants, the fibre, the enzymes that your body recognises. This is not a new thing. This is thousands and thousands of years, millions of years in the evolution. We recognise what food is because we have that to live by. Unlike ultra-processed foods that originally were grown or developed with extra fertiliser, extra chemicals, many of which are quite toxic to our system. And they therefore affect our energy system differently. And that then affects how the rest of us is able to perform too. So your gut is home to millions and millions of bacteria. And there is a really interesting balance between the so-called good bacteria and the not so good bacteria. But you don't have to worry about that. If your internal ecosystem is working well, because you're eating the right foods in the right quantities at the right time, all of those will stay in balance. So the bad bacteria aren't necessarily bad. They are just in balance with your ecosystem, with your internal milieu. If you feed it well and it rewards you with great immunity, balanced hormones, and even better moods. Hooray! So literally your dinner talks to your brain through your brain-gut alliance. And it's smart. It has effectively a brain within your gut. So it knows when you're feeding it rubbish, and it knows when you're feeding it something that it really likes. And unless you've gone down an addictive, poisonous, toxic route for many years, and it's almost forgotten that remembering, it will try its best to look after you. Now, the good news is Dr. Food helps you to fix your health deliciously. So it prescribes food which gives you pleasure, not punishment. You don't have to go to extreme diets. You don't have to go vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free necessarily, unless you have an intolerance or live on kale smoothies or just eat meat, in order to have a good diet and get the nutrients in that you want. But you do need to be aware that you need to eat with awareness and colour. So let's go further. Eat the rainbow each and every day. Aim to eat at least 5, more like 8 fruits and vegetables a day. Preferably as many colours in that range as possible. So although, for instance, potatoes and bananas do give you nutrients, most of their constituents are made up of sugars and starch. They don't have many nutrients in it, although there's more nutrients in the potato skins that we tend to throw away than there is in the starchy part of the potato. So I always think when you're counting your 5+ fruits and vegetables, to potentially discard the white brown ones. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. When you're eating, really take the time to notice how the food makes you feel. What do I mean by that? So food contains energy. It has its own inherent life force and energy field. And it can be calm, it can be jittery. You get instant feedback from your mouth and from your senses when you eat. You eat with your eyes, first of all, with your sense of smell. Then you get your sense of taste and touch from how it feels. And so you can eat with all of your body. Our energy levels from our food vary depending where you get your food from and how the food has been looked after. So ready meals are highly processed. They are usually produced in kitchens which are really mechanized, whereas home cooked foods are prepared with time, with love, with effort, and the energy that you as a cook, as a chef, is able to imbue into that food then gets ingested into whoever's eating it. Pretty cool, huh? So if you're in a high processed factory and it's squidging out mashed potato on top of a pie and it throws it along the line and get the idea? There's not a lot of love that goes into that. There's not a lot of care that goes into that. But by comparison, if you cook a potato, mash it up, and then put it on top of your pie, that's taken a load more energy, and that gives you more energy. So, result of that is please choose whole foods that start as recognizable foods before you start cooking them or creating a dish over processed foods, if you possibly can. I know it's not always possible, and particularly for those who are getting much older and they are struggling to prepare foods either because they can't stand or their balance is poor, because of pain, for instance, or they're becoming amnesic, and so they will leave the cooker on, forget that they put the cooker on, and potentially cause a fire. So I completely understand that it's not always possible as people get older to make and create their own foods. I get it. I really get it. But you can do the best that you can do. So instead of going to some of the supermarket foods to get your ready meals, which also are fairly mineral deficient, if you can afford to go to somewhere like Cook to get your foods, which are produced in smaller batches with more care and with better ingredients. So really, if you can, think about what you're eating. And on that point, sometimes frozen foods, particularly vegetables, especially peas, sweet corn, are actually more nutritionally beneficial for you if they've been frozen, because the time it takes for them to cut the crop, get it to the factories, put it into the freezer, process it, and then have it ready for you is way quicker than if you buy them fresh, take them home, depod them or prepare them, and then finally get to cook them. Okay? Those precious minutes between cutting to freezing is important for nutrition. Next thing, mind the portions. Really mind the portion size. Stop eating when you feel satiated and comfortable, not overstuffed. Your body, when you get used to it, will give you the signals. Sometimes these get lost as people decrease their mental faculty and they don't understand. And that's when portion plate size comes into it. So if you are very active still, you're going to need more food because you need more energy out of your food. You're using up the resources that you've got more. If you are sitting on your bottom most of the time, or even worse still, fast asleep a lot of the time because there's no mental stimulation, you actually need much smaller food portions, particularly around the sugar resources. So the starches, all those brown foods I mentioned earlier, really. But you still need to have the nutrients from those coloured foods. And the way of getting those in is to have them into more soups or like hidden, I was going to say, in like things like lasagna or something, in a really good bolognese sauce, because you can put a load of vegetables in there. By the time they're all mushed up together, you don't realise that you're eating loads of extra vegetable portions, and they concentrate it down. So really look at the portion size that you're having in relation to how you're feeling and what you're doing. Treats. We all like treats. I know. But treats are designed to be literally a treat, an unusual occurrence in the day or in the week. They're a special event. They are not necessarily 2 bars of chocolate a day. Okay, that's not a treat. That becomes part of your diet and it's not so great for you. It completely ruins your blood sugar balance and destabilizes everything towards worse health. The way to get the most out of treats, but not have to have so many of them or so much, is to savor them and enjoy them little bit by little bit and have it be guilt-free. 1 square of really good quality, more bitter chocolate is way better than the great big, dare I say it, dairy milk bar. Although they're not very big any longer because of the price. But anyway, that's another aside. The other thing about treats is that we can use treats, and by this I really mean sugar for most people, because most people tend to be much more sugar addicted than savoury addicted. We often use them as a substitute when we are emotionally upset. We get emotionally upset, we hit the sweets because it makes us feel full, makes us feel better. Okay? Really be aware if you're doing that. That needs attention. Okay? Hope that makes sense. And then, if you possibly can, cook occasionally for yourself. Even if usually your spouse does the cooking. Volunteer. Even simple meals connect you to your senses and that sense of where your food has come from. That preparing it, whether it's opening a packet, chopping up a leek or an onion, experiencing perhaps the sting in your eyes, it gets your senses alert and awake. It allows you to be creative. I know a hard-boiled egg doesn't seem very creative, but making the soldiers could be, so you can dunk them in your egg. And it allows you to really observe you giving yourself self-care and self-love. Really important. And then lastly, remember, Dr. Water, you need to hydrate while you eat. Some people say that it's better to have water before the meal rather than during the meal. It's entirely up to you. See how it works out. But water is essential for our digestion, and it reduces that post-lunch fog when you're like, oh, I need to sleep now, as your system digests the food. More water helps the system work better. Okay? So the benefits of having Dr. Food on your side is better, more stable energy and levelled out moods. You have less highs and lows, less reasons to be upset. much stronger immune system because you're getting all the nutrients, antioxidants into your body, and it's then able to use them to boost your defense mechanisms and systems so you don't get ill as easily. And it helps your digestion massively. And that means that you are able to absorb the nutrients and the goodness from your food through your gut wall and into your bloodstream. It doesn't work until it gets into your bloodstream. So that's a huge advantage. And many people struggle with this, with leaky gut syndrome and IBS and what have you. And they need to have some help to readjust what they're doing rather than just medication to try and slap down the symptoms. It also gives you glowing skin, which you instantly feel better and people will really notice that you are looking better, and sharp thinking. Plus, you get that joyful feeling of knowing that you have a better relationship to food and your body too. And best of all, that quiet confidence of knowing you are nourishing yourself and looking after yourself, not just eating for the sake of eating. So next time you sit down to eat, let's have a mindful moment. Pause before you take that first bite. Look at the colours on your fork. Breathe in the smell. Whisper a little heartfelt thank you. You can do that to the soil, to the cook, to yourself, and to the sun, who gives us all our food ultimately as well. That moment of gratitude really changes everything. Dr. Food doesn't want you just to eat well. He wants you to enjoy being alive in the process of eating properly, getting the nutrients that you need, and then getting the health benefits. I hope that's been helpful. Now, if you want to track the way to increasing your healthy habits, I'm inviting you to download my free daily dose of health checklist. It's a beautiful planner to help you record your food, movements, and other daily doctors that keep you thriving. You can get it directly from the free resources at alignedlaterlife.com. And I hope that you found this useful and interesting. Do comment below if you do, and I will see you on the next video in this series about the 6 best doctors for you. Take care for now. That's Gayle Palmer at Aligned Later Life. Okay, very